We have more on Luis Guillorme, who the Diamondbacks have acquired, and apparently who was just sitting around, according to Jody Jackson's report, and had donated all of the baseballs he had at his house to like a little league team so that they could like have the baseballs. And then the Diamondbacks called him, and he called him up and said, "I'm going to need those baseballs back, son. Bringing those back to me." So, but fun times. Do we have some stats on Luis? There we go.
They're not pretty.
There's his season so far. He's definitely being brought in for his defense and not his offense.
Yeah. These numbers are not going to blow you away. Certainly a 218 average, 285 on base, 290 slugging percentage. He has not homered this year, 6 RBI. He started the year with the Atlanta Braves and then was traded to the Angels and was DFA'd by the Angels just a few days ago. So the Diamondbacks picked him up, signed him to a major league deal at that point, and they optioned Blaze Alexander as part of this move. And I think, Derek, this move says probably more to us about Blaze Alexander than it does about Guillorme himself.
Sure.
Alexander has just really struggled lately for the Diamondbacks offensively. Obviously, he didn't play a ton after being called up, but he went 0 for 8 with 4 strikeouts. And you think back to how Blaze was hitting before he got sent down earlier in the season, and he was really scuffling at that point as well. You go back through his last 50 plate appearances in the majors at this point, Blaze Alexander has a 320 OPS. That's a pretty low number, right?
Yeah.
And it's, that 50 plate appearances isn't a ton, but that's 50 plate appearances is a lot to have an OPS that low. And specifically against right-handed pitching, Blaze has just not given the Diamondbacks a whole lot this season. You look at his splits for the year, he hit just 207, 277, 261 against righties this year. That's a 538 OPS. And even though Guillorme's numbers offensively certainly don't look great, you look at his numbers against righties, he is a left-handed hitter. He slashed 236, 303, 318. So still not earth-shattering numbers by any means. There are shades of Jace Peterson here, for sure, a left-handed hitting infielder who has some versatility.
Why did you have to do that?
Maybe that's not the comp that people are looking for,
Yeah.
but I think it's a pretty reasonable one. He's defensively sound. He can play second base, shortstop, third base competently. And, I think also with Blaze, there were some questions defensively. Not that he was terrible by any means after he got called back up. But I think you feel better about a veteran like Guillorme in the infield at this point than you do about Blaze. So
you're bringing him in for his defense, period.
Yeah.
The man has 16 errors since 2018. 16 errors since 2018.
Yeah.
Jesse, we were just talking about how long ago 2018 was. Remember when we brought up 2017 and you were like, that's 7 years ago. That is 6 years and 16 errors in that time. And I mean, I'm fairly certain that Blaze Alexander has 16 errors this year. No, I'm just joking about that.
But he doesn't quite have 16 errors this year, but he does have. I mean, I think it might be double digits. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And I do think I think offensively there is a piece of this that I can understand as well, given that Guillorme is a left-handed hitter. It just didn't make a ton of sense with Kevin Newman is kind of your frontline second baseman, and then Blaze coming in to replace him.
Yeah.
They're both right-handed hitters. Both of them are theoretically decent against lefties, but not so much against righties. And it just didn't, the roster construction there just didn't really make sense. And it makes more sense with Guillorme on the team, at least on paper. I mean, he probably will not wind up playing a whole lot of time for the Dbacks. I mean, once Cattell comes back, that probably you wouldn't have a need for someone like him anymore. But yeah, I mean, maybe he can step in for a few games between now and then and be sound defensively. And who knows, maybe he gets hot offensively, because that's what seems to happen every time the Diamondbacks bring in someone to step in for an injured player.
We all silly like the mayor.